Jan, I'm a fan of yours now. I I watched Black in Orange County, Living Black in Orange. Yes. You have to unmute yourself. You're muted.
We're just about ready to go live.
Just a moment, we're ready to go live. So if you'll give me 1 second, everyone go ahead, mute your lines and turn off your video. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
1 second. All good. Have a great meeting.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Museo's online Lunch and Learn. I am Carol Latham, the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Museo, Museum and Cultural Center in Anaheim. And it is our wish that you, your family and circle of concern are all safe and healthy, not only now, but that you stay that way. The Museo is a cultural and community hub with a mission to engage the community in exploring and celebrating our diverse heritage, culture, and the arts. And we do this through a myriad of programs and as well as exhibits and events and educational programs like you're seeing today. We appreciate you taking your time to join us this afternoon, and be sure to add any questions you may have in the chat, and you may do that privately or to everyone. And we will do our very best at the end of the presentation to give you answers for them. As a reminder, this program is being recorded on Facebook Live. The Council of Aging has a variety of programs that bring value, support, and benefit to the seniors within our communities. And one of the programs is ReConnect. This particular program is so timely because with the COVID-19 quarantine, many of our seniors in particular are feeling shut off from the world, family, and any of the environment outside of the four walls in which they are currently living. Today's presenter is Christine Tran-Le, the volunteer and outreach coordinator for ReConnect. And I'll just share a little bit about Christine with you. She has been working with the council for 4 years and for the last 9 years with the older adults. Christine has a Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences and Gerontology from California State University, Fullerton, and is currently pursuing higher education with an emphasis on gerontology. So she is going to be sharing with us today some of the ways in which we can reconnect our seniors. And so please join me in welcoming and thanking Christina for joining us today and sharing the news on aging for Council on Aging. Christina?
First, I would just like to thank Carol and the museum for having me for today's Lunch and Learn. That was a very warm welcome and I really appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen here so you'll see the presentation on the screen. There we go. As Carol mentioned, I am with the Council on Aging Southern California's ReConnect program. And today I wanted to present to all of you about mental health and isolation during COVID-19. Just a brief background, if you haven't heard of the Council on Aging Southern California, these are some of the services that we have available. For advocacy and protection, we have the Ombudsman program. Ombudsmen are advocators for individuals that live in skilled nursing facilities, boarding cares, long-term care facilities, and institutions that are providing more assistive care for older adults. What they do is they do kind of like pop-ins for individuals that call in and make statements that, for example, my father is not being cared for the way that I was expecting him to be cared for. They make those unannounced visits to make sure that these individuals in these facilities are getting the adequate care that they deserve. We also have HICAP. HICAP is Health Insurance Counseling Advocacy Program. They provide unbiased Medicare counseling for individuals that are transitioning into Medicare or have Medicare but are unaware of the changes that are made in Medicare throughout the years annually. So they are all certified by the state to provide information on Medicare. They're not selling anyone any supplemental or anything like that. It's just more so, hey, I had this medication from Part D that's no longer covered through Medicare, and I want to learn more about why it's no longer covered, so that individuals who have Medicare are always informed of their care plan. We have the Senior Protection and FAST. FAST is Financial Abuse Specialist Team. She is an attorney that goes out into the community to provide educational presentations on the scams that older adults face on a day-to-day basis. We've encountered anything from, even an older adult's attorney scamming them out of their own home, selling their own home while they are getting care in a facility. We have anything from romantic scams where individuals take on the older adult that is vulnerable and take all of their assets. We have any family scams, Medicare scams. There's a lot of scams that older adults encounter, and I'm sure we've all had those nuisance calls of people trying to tell us that, we owe money to the IRS and such. So that's what she does, providing assistance and education on financial abuse and more than just financial abuse. I will skip over the prevention and wellness as I'm going to present on the ReConnect program, but we also have education and outreach. Smile Makers program is one of my most favorite programs at the Council on Aging. During the holidays and right after Thanksgiving, we have what we call Santa's Workshop, where numerous volunteers from any agency or individual come together to wrap presents for older adults. So this year, our goal is to send 7,000 gifts out to individuals that don't have anyone to look after them, or send them a holiday gift. So right after Thanksgiving, our office has become Santa's little workshop, and we have everyone come in to wrap presents. What the Smile Makers is a guild of volunteers that collects donations, as well as they make purchases of gifts that older adults are requesting for the holidays. It could be anything from a new nightie to house slippers, or just, comfy fuzzy socks, whatever their heart's desire, we're going to make it happen for them for the holidays. Answers is I like to refer to it as an older adult magazine. There's a lot of resources in there for them for the County of Orange. So you can, we don't have it on hand to send that out, but if you would like to, I can always make a request to drop them off at the museo, and you can have it there for individuals that might want to come by and pick them up. But in the meantime, please check our website at the top at coasc.org for the Answers Guide. A little bit more about the Council on Aging. Annually, we serve over 290,000 seniors here in Orange County, as well as the Inland Empire. The programs that provide services in Inland Empire are the Ombudsman Program and HICAP. We have 94 locations, not 94 offices, but we have partnerships with the senior centers, community centers, senior residence communities that we provide services at. So you'll see our counselors there, you'll see our support group leaders there, providing services to the older adults. Currently, we have 73 employees and over 400 volunteers annually. Our services are multilingual, so you'll be able to connect to somebody if you do not speak English. We have Spanish, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Arabic, Korean, Tagalog. Annually, we have 4.5 million in income. 88% of every dollar that is spent supports our programs and our services. A lot of this funding comes from donations, parts of government grants and individuals that and other corporations that want to support our services and our cause. I wanted to share this briefly. This was collected in 2018. Currently, there's over 400,000 seniors, 65 and older, that live and reside in Orange County. By 2040, we will have the highest growth of older adults in Orange County. You can see this trend here, the age groups. You'll see that children 0 to 5 are declining, which is very interesting, as well as other age group populations, 25 to 44, but older adults have a huge spike of 14% to 25% here in this orange line. So that's very interesting that a lot of older adults will be residing here in Orange County by 2040. Mental health in older adults. The ReConnect program is a part of the preventative mental health department here at the Council on Aging. We provide a lot of services, and one of them is mental health for older adults. You can see here 1 in every 4 older adults experiences a mental health disorder. Predominantly, the mental health disorders that we see in our program and our services are depression and anxiety and neurocognitive disorders. We're looking at anything from dementia to Alzheimer's and hoarding. Trauma and stressor-related disorders are prevalent in the minority communities. We serve the Vietnamese community, and a lot of it is the Vietnam War, having to leave their country to come to America for the opportunities that they would be able to have. 2/3 of seniors with mental health disorders often do not seek treatment. Undiagnosed or untreated depression is one of the leading causes of suicide in older adults. A lot of times I still find that mental health is very stigmatized in the older adult population. Maybe someone who is always sad just believes that they are just sad all the time and it's nothing more. Some of the barriers to services that we see are mental health misconceptions and stigma, socioeconomical disparities, cultural barriers, lack of awareness and services. There is not much equity in terms of services for other individuals of minority backgrounds, isolation and inadequate support, elder abuse and neglect, losses and bereavement, stressful life events and transitions, lack of costly healthcare coverage, transportation. So the ReConnect program is an early intervention services for older adults. Our program and services are county-wide. We get funding from the Orange County Healthcare Agency, so we're only able to provide services for older adults who reside in Orange County. Our program is an evidence-based model program for individuals who are at risk of developing behavioral health concerns. Our programs and services are only available for 1 to 12 months. It's based on the individual and their needs. We provide services to anyone 60 and over. We have any different caseworkers and social workers that are bilingual. So culturally and linguistically, we are competent in our services. Okay, so some of the ReConnect teleservices during COVID-19. I had to modify the presentation a little bit as there is still recent spikes of COVID-19, so we're not able to provide these services in person, but we still have comprehensive screenings. We do them over the phone with the participant. Our program and services are free of cost, so our older adults must be willing to participate. So we consider anyone willing to participate a participant and not a client. We have case management services where they create and build an individualized service plan for these older adult individuals to tailor it to their needs. Psychiatric assessments are as needed. We have a geriatric psychiatrist who has been with our program for over 5 years, and she will be able to provide a comprehensive assessment for the participant. Individual therapy with our social workers, if they need it. They are usually short-term therapy, anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. We also have group sessions where they're able to meet other peers and understand that there are individuals that kind of go through the same things as them. Peer mentoring services, individuals that went through our program and want to give back, become a peer mentor. Family support services, long-term care planning. Right now, we're not doing any home visits, but we're doing things like Zoom. So if older adults are able to access Zoom, we will do Zoom visits, similar to what would be a one-on-one home visit. Community engagement and education, skill building workshops, transportation services. So if they are still in need of transportation to go visit the doctor or maybe pick up medication at the pharmacy, things like that, we will arrange transportation for them so that they're comfortable in riding. If not, we'll see if the pharmacy or other places will deliver. At COVID-19, a lot of our older adults were concerned that they wouldn't be able to get out and get food. Some of them, when we tallied how much food they would have, maybe do you have food for a week, 2 weeks, how long can you go for before the next grocery run? And a lot of them mentioned that they are afraid to go out or they don't have the means to go out to purchase groceries. So we were able to connect them to a food delivering service with Second Harvest here in Orange County. So Second Harvest partnered up with us to deliver food on a weekly basis for our older adults that need them. Okay, so this is the calendar for May. I also have the one for June that I will pull up. When we talked about skill building workshops, we have more than just skill building. We also have supportive socialization workshops for older adults. This is a little blurry to see, but I'll go ahead and pull it up here. Maybe this will be a little bit better. Okay. So these are all virtual classes that we host virtually for individuals in the community, as well as our older adult participants. Let's see if I can make it just a little bit bigger. So you'll see that we have anything from, educational workshops, as in learning a second language like Spanish. We have beginner and intermediate first for individuals. We have mental health talks that are available for older adults who don't really want to speak to a therapist or a social worker, but they want to just talk to other peers about how they're feeling right now during COVID or anything that's going on. I myself teach the balance and mobility classes for older adults. It's very interesting because as of last week, I learned that they have been denying me the right of pushing them a little bit harder, because we've been going through the same kind of intermediate to beginning level strengthening classes so that they learn the basics and the mechanics of how your body moves. And I learned that they are so much more capable than what they lead on to be. So now I pretty much am personally training all of them virtually. That brings me a lot of joy to see that they are really able to push themselves out of their comfort zones. We also have a neighborhood walk that is a social hour where we walk around the neighborhood or in your own home, wherever you're comfortable, and they get to chat with their other peers. There's a lot of activities that we do with our older adults. We have brain training games to keep your brain active. They are all separated by language, and most of them you can see here. All languages are usually at the top. Then we have some groups for our monolingual Spanish speakers, monolingual Mandarin speakers, monolingual Vietnamese speakers, and so forth. So we have a lot of activities in different languages. What I can do is go ahead and email this out to Carol or the museum, and they could share this with the community. And if you would like to join, there is a how-to with the email links here so that you can join and participate if you would like. Going back to the presentation here. Okay. So these are some mental health county community resources. that I would like to share with you. We also have a different program, not so much different. It's very similar to ReConnect. It's called the Friendly Visitor Program. And it just serves a different population. For both programs, we serve older adults 60 and over, but ReConnect are for individuals that are more so still likely to engage in the community and the activities that we have. Friendly Visitor participants are more homebound, bedbound due to anything from having an injury that limits them from going outside or participating. We also serve dependent adults 18 and over in the Friendly Visitor program as well. The program provides the same resources with connecting them and referring them to community resources, as well as supportive phone calls from staff and interns and volunteers. Prior to COVID, we partnered them up with a Friendly Visitor, which made socialization visits for an hour each week so that they had somebody to talk to other than, their caregiver or their nurse. If there are any questions or comments or concerns, I'd gladly take them now. But you'll see here, this is our administrative office and the email to contact us at. If you have anyone that would like to participate in the program and the services, anyone is welcome that is 60 and over and residing in Orange County. We'll do an assessment of what their needs are and then enroll them into the program. Thank you so much.
Christine, thank you so much. You've shared a lot of very valuable information. I was just wondering, with the ReConnect program and with COVID-19 and the restrictions that brings about, you mentioned some of the ways in which you're able to still stay connected to some of these seniors. And some of the activities that you just had on that grid are perfect if they're able to do an in-person kind of event. What are some of the things that you might be looking to do or already providing that is virtual to keep your seniors connected during this time? What are some of the activities?
That's a great question. So I didn't really share very much of the activities. It was pretty brief and powered through. But other than those activities, we also have art classes. They are stigma reduction art classes, a part of the program that's also under the preventative mental health. We provide all the art supplies that they will need to do artwork. We have instructors that will teach them anything from watercolor basics to acrylics. We also have so many activities. Prior to this, we had the Shea Writing Center where we would take them to the, therapy horses where they can groom them and feed them. Recently, Museo sent out an email about virtual museum tours, and I was able to share that with them as well so that they could virtually take the tour. So it's the activities are really based on the community's interests. So we tailor it around them. And if we have staff that are able to teach or share a certain skill, we normally do that with our older adults and see what the interests are. Let me see here. So certain support group leaders, they teach certain things. For me, it's pretty much all physical activity and exercise. As you know, we're staying home, so we're a little bit more dormant and we're sitting a lot. We're not really moving as much as we used to. So I like to get them up and going. And even though I'm teaching those classes, I give them room to chat with their peers so that they aren't just talking to me or listening to me the whole time. So they share tips and tricks with each other. Or one individual today brought up the fact that she was able to purchase N95 masks, and she shared that with everyone so where to get it, and you don't have to pick it up, and they still have an abundance of supplies, things like that. We have other individuals that provide classes that are like DIY how-to. But all of these classes are virtual through Zoom, and some of our older adults don't have the means to connect virtually because of barriers like I don't have a tablet, I don't have a laptop, or I don't have a smartphone. I'm still using a landline. What can I do? So what we do is we use what they have. So if you have a landline, we'll connect you via the phone and we'll do a three-way call so that it's you, another individual that uses a landline, and myself as the instructor to really get the activities out there for you. Our other classes maybe are on YouTube Live. They're able to work YouTube Live better than Zoom or Facebook Live because they've had this account for a while now and they know how to use it. So we really play to the best interest of the participants so that they don't feel that there is more barriers to them during this time.
I see. And Wanda just made a mention that she teaches virtual Zoom classes through the Buena Park Community Center. And so maybe that could even be a partnership that you both work on to, again, expose more seniors to the possibilities of activities. Perfect.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. You mentioned about them not necessarily having the smartphone and some of those other technology items that would make them really connect on a virtual level. But if they are not able to do any of that, is there still a way to reach the seniors who don't have that capability?
Yes. So other than not having the means of things to connect virtually, we also have reluctant seniors where they don't feel very comfortable basically putting their face on Zoom or using technology because it's not something I grew up with, or I don't really want to change how I've been going about
Or they're suspicious of it.
Yes. And if I put my name out there, somebody's going to use it or something like that. So we do have some individuals like that. And that's when we revert to kind of one-on-one to make sure they're comfortable. And that basically, I will give you my phone number. You can call me when you're ready to participate. If not, I'll go ahead and give you a call during these scheduled times so that they know at 12 o'clock, Christina is going to call me and we're going to do this activity together. This way, it's not somebody random calling them that they're unsure about. And so once we build rapport with them, and then we kind of, hey, are you ready to join, a bigger group? If not, it's okay. We'll still do it how you're comfortable. And even if it takes a little bit more time, the goal is to get them to join the community. Because I feel like COVID still isolates a lot of people even more due to not having the means, not being able to, and that reluctance and to do what other people are trying to adapt to via virtual or using, their phones or even going out there to get groceries. Yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering if you also find part of the reluctance might be cultural.
I thought about that as well for our minority groups. And we see it kind of hand in hand. I'll give you an example. Our Vietnamese monolingual speaking participants, they participate in a level 1 computer class, then they move on to a level 2. So basic level 1, you're learning the mechanics, what a mouse does, what a keyboard does, and how to turn on and turn off or reboot your systems. Level 2, they're learning how to set up their own Gmail account or any mail account and sending mail out to their friends. They are very willing to learn it because they know that if they don't get with the times, they're going to be left behind. A lot of their family and friends still live in Vietnam or a different state, so they want to connect with them. Our Hispanic monolingual speaking participants are very reluctant. They're very timid to the fact that their face could be recorded on the computer or the laptop or the tablet. And then they're also the ones that don't have the means to purchase maybe the latest iPhone or the latest Android or even an iPad or a tablet to connect. So we do see some differences there in terms of that reluctance. It's more so I haven't done this in a while and I don't want to be embarrassed doing it because somebody younger is teaching me how to do it. I'd prefer to do it on my own. And we give them that space to kind of play around with it. And we've seeked out how we can get these older adults who don't have these devices. Can we connect them to, maybe a partnership where we borrow these devices for COVID-19 and then we'll return them, things like that to get them more comfortable to use them. It's just unfortunate that we can't be physically there to kind of set it up for them so that they're comfortable to use it.
Well, Joan brings up a point that I think is also really important, is that is there any kind of a peer group that allows these seniors to express their feelings, how scared they are, how sad they are, how anxious they are? Are there any groups like that?
Yes, we have them with our social worker, and she conducts them with our older adults. We haven't seen too much of a number in terms of turnout, so that they can participate and share their what they're feeling, even losses they might have encountered during COVID. I've had 3 participants tell me that, I lost my sister-in-law during COVID. And then 2 weeks later, she lost another friend during COVID. And just how do you cope with those losses? So we created those groups, those safe spaces so that they can discuss and talk about it. But we just haven't seen so much acceptance or willingness to talk about it yet. I think they just need some time to identify how they would like to cope before they can discuss how they are feeling or what feelings they may have during this time.
And it takes a while for them to process it and feel comfortable enough to be able to then express it. So what is the process for a senior to be referred to any of the programs?
Perfect. So any older adult can self-refer, or they can be referred by maybe somebody like you who is well-versed in the community and about the ReConnect program, and it might be suitable for maybe so-and-so that it's like, what, you might need more resources than I can provide for you. Maybe you should check out the ReConnect program. Doctors and nurses, caregivers, even those, they're like nurses that come to take care of maybe some small items for the individual and then they go for the rest of the week. Anyone can be referred to our program and our services. The only requirement is that they have to reside here in Orange County and be 60 and over in age, and be willing to participate in the program and the services that we can provide for them. After the referral, our enrollment coordinator, she will reach out to the individual where she does an initial assessment where she'll ask them, simple questions of where do you really reside? Some people, well, I live in LA County, but my daughter lives here in Orange County. Can I still get the services? Things like that. Right now during COVID, we're making a little bit of an adjustment. Some individuals have called us from Hawaii or other states that are in real need of socialization or, peers that can connect with them so that they can share what they're feeling and going through. So we've made a little bit of an adjustment for individuals that are in dire need of our services. Other than that, after she makes the initial assessment, asking them for, verification of date of birth and age, some people tell us, well, I'm 60, but then I'll be 60 at the end of the year. So things like that. or I'm 58, but we can round it up to 60. So we've had to make sure a few times. And after verification of, date of birth and all of that, we don't ask anything else. We just want to make sure they're 60 and over and do reside in Orange County themselves. She asks for their needs. What are your needs at the moment, or what needs do you have? It could be anything from caregiving, socialization. I just want to participate in activities and I don't know where to go. Food. I don't have the means to get groceries by myself, and I don't want to go outside to get groceries by myself. Transportation, adaptive equipment, or learning how to manage my chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, things like that. So she'll take note of all of that. Once that is completed, we have our staff meetings every 2 weeks, and she'll present all of the cases. So it could be anyone. Well, Christine is a 69-year-old older adult who lives in Anaheim, and these are her needs. After all the cases are presented, our department director will assign the cases to the case managers. If they're monolingual, Vietnamese, Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, they'll go to the specific caseworkers that speak those languages. And if they have certain needs, if they have more needs than the caseworkers can provide, then they'll be assigned to a social worker that can attend to their needs, maybe starting short-term therapy prior to getting those activities and joining community groups or engaging in them. So things like that. And then our program and services are from 1 to 12 months. It really depends on the older adult. Some people join the program for a month, get all the resources that they need, and then they're like, well, I don't really need anything else and I don't want to participate any longer. Then they graduate from the program. Mm-hmm. Some individuals stay for the year span and then they graduate. After they graduate, anyone graduating, we follow up within 60 days to make sure that they are still doing well. And if they are not, it could be anything from traumatic events that have happened to them recently or anything they've encountered. We can do a case by case where we will speak to the county and see if we can re-enroll them into the program for maybe 1 to 2 months, just to make sure that they're doing well mentally, physically, and emotionally before we graduate them again from the program. After that, if they are willing to and would like to be a peer mentor for other individuals in the program, they are more than welcome to become a volunteer.
Oh, perfect. So from what I'm hearing is there are really no financial restrictions. It's not just for someone who is maybe in a socioeconomical need. Mm-hmm. It can be anyone across Correct. The board. Yes. So one of the main things that comes up with a lot of seniors is housing. So mm-hmm. what are you able to do to assist in the cost of housing for some of the seniors?
So I know housing is very troublesome. A lot of older adults are weary about the fact of maybe getting evicted or not having the means to cover rent. And rent is ridiculous during these times. I don't understand. But what we can do is, it's not so much we'll handhold them to do everything, but we'll go through the process with them. For example, I can give you a story of a participant briefly here. They were going to get evicted and they had nowhere to go, either the streets or pretty much live with a friend for a little bit if they could. And so what we could do is there's HUD housing. So it takes a little bit longer because there's a long process of being waitlisted or, kind of waiting your turn until it's your turn to get the apartment complex. So what we do is we try to assist them. And if not, there are transitional homes in the meantime that we can assist them with getting into those places and then try to work out what we can do in terms of getting them into a more stable situated home that they can call home. I know that a lot of older adults, they fear that they won't be able to live in the home that they've built for so long with their families, and then having that as an empty nest, and possibly, wanting to keep that home. So we try to do what we can, and if not, we have what we call a Give a Hoot grant. And if it's dire, we'll be able to write a grant for the meantime. Let's say the next month I won't be able to make my rent, and if I don't make my rent, I'll be out on the street. So that's what we can do to expedite the process, to make sure that they're still in their home for that month. And while we're figuring everything else, like, what can we do? Can you still afford living here? And if not, will you be willing to go to a senior complex where this is how much the rent is, this is, maybe having a roommate or things like that. So we'll troubleshoot with them so that it's not last resort, we're going to move you here because this is what you can afford. It's more so, what are you comfortable with doing? And if it's not living here, will you be comfortable moving and living with a roommate, or having multiple roommates, so-and-so, or X and Y facility or community places, so that you can still be independently living on your own.
So is that, that's the regular sort of housing situation, help, financial
Yes.
help. Are there any special financial resources specific to COVID-19?
That I haven't found yet in terms of aiding our older adults with COVID-19. Not so much, to be honest. And it's very unfortunate. It took Orange County a very long time to even provide meals for older adults that can't provide meals for themselves. So I don't know how much longer everyone will see, this is what older adults really need. They want to be able to live independently at home and to preserve their dignity. What can we do for them? But that becomes a lot more political than what we are able to provide as an agency in terms of direct need.
I see. There are a couple of organizations like OLLI and Access California. OLLI working with seniors and Access California working across the spectrum of ages, but they also have a fairly substantial senior population that they work with. Are those partnerships that you see being able to collaborate with, that was a little tongue twister, to help move your programs and be more supportive of each other's programs?
I have tried to connect and partner with OLLI. I went to Cal State Fullerton and they had an OLLI program too. The only thing is OLLI has a certain membership fee, I believe.
Yes, I think there is.
Yeah, so when I tried to kind of collaborate with them and mush our services together, they were still adamant on a membership fee, whereas we don't want our older adults to pay for any fee. And if OLLI members wanted to participate, they could definitely participate at no cost. It was more so of sharing what the Council on Aging does, the programs and services that we have for older adults, and for them to utilize us as a resource. However, we were never able to establish a partnership or a collaboration in terms of not having any fees and maybe a little membership fee. I definitely understand our older adults, they live on a fixed income, their pension, their Social Security, their retirement fund. So it's not fair to them that they have to pay a fee to just participate and socialize with other peers. I was never able to do that. In terms of partnerships and collaborations with Access, that's something we have yet to tackle. So I will definitely look into that to see if we can serve more older adults. At the end of the day, my goal is definitely to serve older adults so that they have the adequate resources to live.
This one's a little bit of a touchy question,
Mm-hmm.
but how are you able to help seniors who may not have made arrangements for their final resting place?
Oh.
Are you able to work with them in either the funeral services or any of the final things that they need to do?
That's a very good question. Personally, I have reached out to older adults and asked them those questions, and it's very, I would say, taboo. I don't know what it is, but I've encountered maybe a handful of older adults that don't want to talk about it. They'll tell me, I'll get there when I get there. So I'm still young, I'm still able, and my question is, but don't you want to plan for your children so that they don't have to, you know, figure it out? What does mom want? What does X, Y, and Z want? I get that as myself. My grandmother has pretty much cancer all over the place. She has thyroid, abdominal. She also has leukemia, but there's no plan in order. And I had to ask my parents, my uncles and aunts, what are you guys going to do? Like, are we going to talk about this? What is the plan? Where is she going to go? What kind of care are we giving her? Who's taking her to dialysis? All of this stuff. And nobody wants to talk to me because I'm still a child. And I hate that. So long-term care planning, even end-of-life care planning is very taboo. But we do get maybe one or two older adults who, hey, I need assistance with planning for my end of life. Where can I go? What can I do? So that's when we gather all the pamphlets and stuff for them and review it with them. You know, this is maybe there's a plot here for X, Y, and Z amount versus a plot here. Or they'll tell us, no, well, I want to be, in a plot, or I want to be cremated, or things like that. And then we have more of a sense of an idea of what to do, where to go, how to help them. But for majority of our older adults, they'll get there when they get there. So
I know we did one of these with Forest Lawn several months ago, and Jennifer D'Alessio, she was saying she encounters this all the time, but she says, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Exactly.
So making the decision so that your children and the rest of the family don't have that responsibility of trying to interpret what you wanted as against what they think you wanted. We had one, and I think we probably have just time. I actually had two questions, but one popped up on the chat, and it's about housing for seniors where the requirements that need to be met, say that they have to have a bank account of $3,500 and more. How are you able to navigate around that?
So we've learned to negotiate with these places. It's very, I don't know how you can say this in a nicer kind of term. It's very ridiculous that they are kind of establishing ground rules that if you don't have $3,500 in your bank account, by the time you open this application, we're not accepting you, kind of thing. We negotiate with the place where the older adult wants to reside in terms of senior housing, to let them know that if they're able to make the payments, why does it matter if they have $3,500 in their checkings or their savings or in any bank account for that matter? If they're able to make the payments, they're able to make the payments, things like that. So we become that liaison for the older adults to really help them and give them a hand in dealing with people that are very stern on what they are requiring them to do. So there's a lot of places like that. Even for myself, they check, your background check. Do you have X amount of money in your bank account? Why does that matter to you? So there are things like that we can really help them and go in there and do that for them. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, and this will be the last question. You mentioned earlier that you have about 400 volunteers. So anyone who's watching and wants to become a volunteer or a mentor or a tutor or help in any way with counsel and aging, how do they do that?
They can reach out to me, and I can get them situated, or they can email us if they go to our website at COASC, Council on Aging Southern California.org, and there is a drop-down tab for volunteering. They'll give you the programs and services in terms of where they want to volunteer. You could volunteer to be an advocate with the Ombudsman program for individuals that live in facilities. You can volunteer to be a high cap counselor where you'll get training and state certification. You can volunteer with the Smile Makers program and coordinate and assist during the holidays to wrap presents. And you can always volunteer with the ReConnect and Friendly Visitor program to work with our older adults who are isolated and need socialization and be a peer. So that we have a tab at coasc.org and you can drop down to volunteer.
Okay, and all the guidelines and restrictions are listed there.
Yes.
Yes. Did you have another comment?
For the other programs and services, they, of course, require you to be 18 and over to volunteer. For the Friendly Visitor program, if there are students that need, I believe, academic hours for high school or whatever it may be, they can volunteer with their parent.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you've shared so much information in this hour. I'm sure that we could talk for another half an hour or more and have you answer questions, but so appreciate your taking the time to do this. Let me remind you before we close that the link for Counsel and Aging, and Christine's mentioned it several times during the presentation, it will be on the Museo's website. And of course, the Museo's website address is www.museo.org. And we would love for you to let us know what you thought of this program. We want to continue to bring relevant programs to the community to engage you, and especially during these very uncertain times. There's also a support button if you would like to donate to the Museo. We appreciate donations, big as well as small, everything in between. So you can do that on our website link or through our Instagram or Facebook links as well. And we just mentioned that your generosity is always appreciated. Special thank you to Burkinda for her work behind the scenes, little magic. We had a few little glitches with the links this morning because of some Facebook changes, and she worked her magic. So thank you so much. And thank you to Christine Tran-Le of Council on Aging. And you've sort of enlightened us to so many of the programs that you provide through our seniors. And of course, I'd like to thank the audience for tuning in this afternoon. And we wish that you will stay safe, stay healthy, stay well until we meet again next time. Thank you so much.